walang bidet dito. Like, I've never seen a bidet. Kahit gaano pa kasosyal yung restaurant, walang bidet.
My name is Jude. I'm from Fairview, Quezon City, and we moved to the US in 2005 when I was 15 years old. I currently live in Los Angeles, California. I have a brand called Flowers. I also work for a jeweler called Jason of Beverly Hills.
I'm Micah Gorostiza from Pasig City. I moved in the US since 2012, but I was going back and forth Manila and Vegas. And until 2 years ago, I decided to move here for good. And now I live in Orange County, California. I do marketing for a personal injury law firm.
So, my name is DJ. I'm from Iloilo City! Iloilo. I moved in 2001, right after 9/11. I was pretty scared because I thought my plane was going to get shut down, but it didn't. I live in LA, and guess what? I'm a nurse. Ooh, shocking. Ooh.
My name is Paolo Gonzalez, also known as I am John Pao in my Instagram handle, and Paolo Gonzalez on my YouTube channel. I moved here in the United States somewhere February 14, 2020. I am from Metro Manila, Philippines, but my parents were born and bred in Tarlac, Nueva Ecija. I'm currently living here in Atlanta right now, and I'm very much involved in what I do in social media marketing or influencer marketing.
My name is Ron. I'm from Muntinlupa City. I moved to the US in 2007, and now I am a software engineer, and I am currently a flight student as well.
My name is Isaac and I'm from Manila, Philippines, but my family and I are originally from Bicol. I moved here in the United States last August 2021. It's just been 4 months since I've been here. I'm living in a dorm right now. I'm a freshman majoring in aerospace engineering at the University of Kansas.
My life in the Philippines was actually so fun. So dahil malapit ako sa aking mga relatives, lalo na aking grandparents and my cousins, we would always just be hanging out, every Sunday after church. We would have lunch, these kind of like just Christmas parties, I guess, with my relatives. It was always fun and masarap parati yung pagkain dahil magaling magluto mga lola ko. So I really enjoyed it. And as a kid, I would like to say that I was playing outside a lot, pero usually nasa loob lang ako. I was just playing my PlayStation because I was that kind of kid. Pero it was really fun.
I say we lived a pretty average life. I lived with my mom, my brother, our yaya, and my auntie, and my cousin. Nothing out of the extraordinary. It's just a simple life and fun.
Oh, my life back then in the Philippines. That was so much fun. Before, I was just living the life, being happy-go-lucky. I used to work for my mom part-time, so I didn't have the 9-to-5 job. But then I got to do what I like to do, which is a fashion stylist. Every night, I go out with my friends. We'd go to Poblacion, BGC, Rockwell, Tags. I just had so much time in the world, and you have your maid to help you with the laundry, cooking. You have a driver. My grandma takes good care of me. So parang very sheltered.
I didn't have much life because I was still 11, so there's really not much to talk about except for just enjoying being a kid. But I was really spoiled when I was little. Like, I had everything handed to me. Then I moved here. I was like, damn, I have to do these things myself. Why did I move here? But it was a good opportunity, especially like where I'm able to do whatever I want and I get to learn to be independent instead of being spoiled.
I've always lived and grew up in the city. What I love about the Philippines is first and foremost the hospitality culture, especially for someone like me na ang dami ko na talaga napuntahang ibang bansa, and hindi ko mahanap yung comparison when it comes to the hospitality and the culture of the family-orientedness of the Filipino people that I've witnessed, and that hardworking trait. I still am proud to be Filipino.
Because of COVID, my life back in the Philippines was not really interesting. I stayed at home most of the time because my family and I don't really go out. We just went out if there's an important errand to do, like grocery and dentist. I mean, hindi na ako sinasama sa grocery eh. Dentist lang pala. Nakakalabas lang kami kapag may dentist. And I did online class, graduated high school, and now I'm here.
Well, the truth is, I didn't decide to move to the USA. My dad did. Yung work niya required him to move to the USA. Since he moved over to the USA, eventually, dinala niya kami na kanyang pamilya over here as well. I can't blame him for that. It's a good decision.
My parents decided to move to the US for a hope for a better life.
I wanted to do something with my life. I just thought and realized that I'm not getting any younger. I was 23, 24 that time, and I want to do something better for me and for my future. I really want to be independent, do a 9-to-5 job, paying your own bills, and doing something good for the future.
Technically, it wasn't my decision because my mom kidnapped me. We had no choice. Me and my brother had no choice. She just bought plane tickets and told us one day, you guys are moving to LA. But I think it was a good decision.
One of the biggest reasons na talagang lumipat ako dito is dahil even though dito sa Amerika, the competition is very high and people here are really competitive to get to that financial goals of success that majority of the people share here. I do have that same spirit here in the Philippines, but it seems like I needed the experience of the business here. I had this aspiration when I was younger of my American dream. Basically, that's one of the biggest reasons why I decided to move here.
I decided to move here in the US solely for the reason of going into university. You're gonna gain a lot of new experiences and opportunities if you study abroad, and that was really my goal. And I got into a major that I really liked and got a scholarship too. So yeah, those are the reasons bakit pumayag din yung parents ko.
Malaking culture shock sa akin is yung paano nila ina-address yung mga older people or people with positions. We use po and opo sa mga nakakatanda sa atin, but here they don't really have that. And dahil nasa South ako, sa Alabama, they use yes ma'am or yes sir. Basically, the ma'am and the sir are the po and opo here. It's not really like that over in other locations. So with people in positions, dito tawagin lang nilang, hey John, did you get those papers that I sent? They would just use their first name. Same with pastors as well. They would call them by the first names, and it would just blow my mind because I'm just like, we've always just been taught to just respect people in positions and older people. It's not that they're disrespecting them, it's just a different culture. And also, the school is very different. It's basically High School Musical, or it looks like High School Musical. We don't really do a lot of musical dances around the hallways.
I think the biggest culture shock for me moving to the US was leaving all the people that I knew back home. With me doing that, everything just felt so brand new and empty, given that I was very close to my friends, the surrounding that I was at, and the transition was very difficult because naturally I wasn't very open to accepting my new environment. That was one of the biggest obstacles that I faced.
When I started working, I noticed the staff, the employees here, they don't really say sir or ma'am to their bosses. So for me, parang bastos ko naman yata. Hindi ko siya tatawagin na sir or ma'am sa boss ko. Because here in the US, they just call their bosses and their first names. But now I'm cool with it. I had a fellow Filipino coworkers, mga supervisors ko. I'd still say miss or ma'am and sir. But for Americanized, I just call them in their first names.
I grew up in many countries, especially Saudi Arabia. Pero lahat ng classmate ko nung lumalaki ako until I was 16 is lahat sila Filipino. And then nung nag-move ako sa Pilipinas, of course, for college, lahat Filipino. So kahit na nung nag-work ako as a flight attendant sa Qatar Airways, it's a different culture of diversity. When I got here, a lot of people in my generation, especially that I am in the influencer and social media marketing industry, is that I see a lot of people in my demographics that are very passionate when it comes to racial disparity. And it was a little bit of a struggle for me because I don't have yet at that time a full grasp of the politics and also the reality that is happening here in America. So I needed to challenge myself to be more aware sa mga issues dito dahil politically wise, ang problema dito sa United States and ang problema sa Philippines is different. So coming here, it's I think one of the things that I had to improve to myself is my cultural awareness.
In the dining hall, tayong mga Pilipino, mahilig tayong tikman lahat, lalo na kapag naka-buffet style yung setup ng kainan. And ganun yung dining hall namin dito. That's what I do most of the time. And the first time that I did it, para matikman lahat, diba? Tas small portions lang. Hindi ko alam, pero mukhang na-weirdohan yung server. Pero yeah, weird ba yun? And walang bidet dito. Like, I've never seen a bidet kahit gaano pa ka-social yung restaurant walang bidet. Thankfully, before I left the Philippines, I bought a portable bidet in Shopee. So yeah,
Sabihin mo lang, salamat Shopee!
thanks Shopee.
Where to get Filipino food. And that is because we live in the southern part of the United States. Sa Alabama, it's not like, sa California or sa New York where there's a large amount of Filipino population. So yung mga pagkain natin, katulad ng Pure Food Standard Juicy Hot Dog, they would just have it in like these Filipino stores. In here, we don't really have Filipino stores here in Alabama. Meron kaming mga Asian stores which might carry Filipino products, but for the most part, it's more for Vietnamese. We have to kind of go a little bit further away just to get our Filipino foods. That was one of the biggest challenges that we faced. And also transportation. Wala ditong public transportation like jeepneys, tricycles. It's very hard to get around without a vehicle. And it's not like back in New York or in California, actually lesser to extent of California, more in New York, where you can ride the bus, the transit, ride the train. It's very easy there for have public transportation. You don't need to use your Uber, taxi, Lyft, Grab, all that stuff. In pretty much anywhere else in the United States, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this though, it is very, very hard to have public transportation or to use the public transportation.
It may have nothing to do with being Filipino, but just being a kid, not knowing what to do with my life at that age, where all my friends back home seemed like they already knew what they wanted to do. But since I moved here, it felt like I had to figure it all out again. And that's one of the biggest issues, if not it's the biggest lack of communication that parents are not having with their children, is having that talk before moving to a different country or a different environment and explaining to their kid, or maybe even just giving the kid the opportunity to open up about what their future might be in a different country. Just moving to a different place, you'd never know what emotional stability the kid is dealing with when you take them out of their comfort zone. They may already have planned what college to go to, what course are they going to take, and they already have a set route that they wanted to take when they were back home. But when you take them out of that zone and you move them to a whole different environment, not knowing how you can help them transition and just hoping that they'll figure it out themselves, that was one of the struggles that I personally dealt with.
I think I just felt so homesick, especially in my first few months here when I moved in the US. Even though I already set my mind that I'm gonna be here for a long, long time, I still felt homesick because imagine going out of your comfort zone, moving from a different country, going here. I had to start from scratch. So lahat ng nakasanayan ko from the Philippines, I have to let it go. I have to forget about it. I have to adjust here. Parang ang hirap nun kasi syempre yung family ko, they're not with me. My mom is in the Philippines. My dad is in Vegas. I'm the only one in California. I'm glad I have my relatives. I used to take bus just to go to my 9 to 5 job. And on the weekend, you just stay at home. And, you miss your friends, your family. You can go anywhere because, at that time I wasn't driving at all. I'm glad that I actually experienced that. I already surpassed that stage of my life.
For me, it was the language barrier. Even though I understood English, I couldn't speak it. So I had a lot of difficulty understanding and expressing myself to other people. So they just thought I was all weird because you're different, and from other countries you tend to not belong to a certain group. They kind of just like make fun of you.
Wala ako talaga masyadong kaibigan dito, and then I decided to move to a different state. Sobrang focus ka lang sa mga gusto mong gawin na trabaho or mga extra income, so parang you neglect sometimes to find that community of yours, of that self-belongingness. It was a little bit of a struggle for me, even though it didn't felt like necessary, that it was actually a need for me to find my community or my group. Self-belongingness of finding your own community, especially to where I'm staying in this state, it's not as big as compared to California or Las Vegas or New York, and so I think that is a little bit of a struggle for me to find that group. I think in addition to the culture shock, because I have a boyfriend right now and he's American, there were a little bit of the set culture of this reserved Filipino conservative-ish type of personality in me, and so it took a little more time for me to be less conservative and less concise about the culture that I was exposed into.
There's actually a lot, but I'm just gonna share the most interesting ones. So The first one is more of scary because people are actually allowed to bring guns here. And we have this sign in the main entrance of our dorm and it says na parang bawal magdala ng gun. And at first, I was like, why do you need that sign? And yun pala, pwede kasi magdala ng guns yung mga tao dito. So, kind of scary.
If you ask me when I first moved here, probably around 2008, 2009, definitely a yes. But now it's a harder decision because I've lived here for most of my life. So since I moved here back in 2007, it is now 2021. I would say no, I would not move back simply because I have established most of my life here in nasa US. I love the Philippines though. Parati kaming bumibisita and most of my relatives are still there, but for me I think I have established far too much already in the US, and basically moving to the Philippines would be like starting over again.
In all honesty, I probably wouldn't. I would go on vacations and enjoy a few months off in the Philippines, but I don't really see myself staying back home. I personally just couldn't handle the traffic. I live in LA, it's traffic out here, but it's way worse in the Philippines and it's hot.
I love Philippines so much, but I don't think I can stay there for good. I can still visit. Of course, I would love to visit since my family is still there, but I just don't really see myself living in there for good, especially what's happening now during the pandemic. Sobrang nag-iba kasi yung tingin ko sa buhay when I move here. And nung nakaya kong buhayin yung sarili ko, I just realized na there's a lot of growth and opportunities here in the US for me. So parang na-start ko ng buhayin yung sarili ko, and why would I go back to the Philippines and start from scratch again?
I don't think I would go back to the Philippines. I'm very comfortable with my life right now. I don't know about this guy's laughing.
If you guys don't know yet, we're friends. We're in the same house.
I would not go back to the Philippines. I would go there for vacation. I would not go there because it's too hot and the weather is not good for my skin. It's very sensitive. See, I have to moisturize all the time.
As of now, I probably won't, but in the later future, I will. And maybe when the traffic is better. I have to say this, pero sa totoo lang, guys, Metro Manila traffic is... Ooh, but... yes, I would take it in the future. I love the Philippines. It's one of the cultures that I connect myself into. I love the food. And I remember kami ng kapatid ko, every time na nagugutom na kami, tapos pupunta kami ng restaurant, lagi namin problema is anong kakainin namin. Ganon. Kasi sa sobrang daming choices, nahihirapan kang mamili ano bang gusto mong kainin. So I think when it comes to conveniences and those necessities that is available out there, there's really nothing more that I can probably ask in the Philippines.
Yes, I will definitely go back to the Philippines after graduating because I'm in a student visa and I'm really required to go back to my home country. After graduating, I don't have a plan yet on what to do, but yeah, I will go back to the Philippines. See you soon.